everybody. How's it going? Hey, I'm so excited to be here at this Data and AI Summit. Thanks for being here. Thanks, everyone, for coming. It's going to be a really great day. I'm excited to start us off talking about some of the big trends that we see in AI. Like Rafat was saying, this is a sold-out conference, which is pretty incredible. It does kind of show that really this topic of artificial intelligence, AI, it's what's really on everyone's mind. I'm thinking about it a lot, too. But I got to tell you, there's something else I've been thinking about a little bit. I've been thinking about travel agents quite a lot, which feels a little bit old-fashioned for an AI conference. But I'll tell you a bit of a personal anecdote. I'm actually getting married this summer, and thank you. And I'm planning a honeymoon, and it's a big trip. It's an expensive trip. It's a once-in-a-lifetime trip. And I've been working with an old-fashioned travel agent. I pick up the phone and talk to them. And it's interesting. They're trying to rebrand to travel advisors, but I like the word agent because what's the big buzzword in AI right now? It's agentic AI. It's AI agents. And I actually do think that there's something that we can learn from the past of travel agents that can tell us about the future of AI agents. That'll be a thread through this conversation. But let's put a pin on that. Let's go back to the late 2022, early 2023. OpenAI launched ChatGPT to the public. We all got a taste of generative AI. It was only 3 years ago. It was 2022. So I think it's like dog years, I guess, right? Like 3 years, real time, 21 years of AI time. And if you'll allow me to humbly, but not so humbly, brag a little bit, we put out this report in 2023 from Skift Research, Generative AI's Impact on Travel. It was one of the first really strong deep dives into what specifically generative AI would mean specifically for our industry. And we laid out kind of 4 areas where we thought AI tools would have a big impact on travel. And we had this chart about basically time to market. What would be the quickest? What would be the slowest impacts? And if we look at how we did, I have to say, I think we did pretty good. We said operational efficiencies would come first, and we heard a lot of internal use cases. That's what we heard at last year's summit. We'll hear more today. Customer support, I mean, you can't shake a stick without hitting an AI chatbot these days. They're everywhere. We're definitely seeing that. Reputation is out there. It's a little more below the radar, but it's there. But the big one, which would have the largest impact, and which really isn't there, is search, is that travel book and funnel, and what it means on the consumer side of things. So this year, we actually just launched a new AI research report, and we really dug into search and what it meant and what AI could mean for those kind of tools. And I think search is such an important thing to think about because it really has been the backbone of the travel industry, or at least of the travel marketing funnel, for the last 20 years or so. Travelers would get inspired, whether it's word of mouth, friends and family, whether it was social media, whether it was like the ad campaigns that many of the people here in this room ran, movies, television shows, you name it. They would get inspired some way, somehow. And ultimately, in many cases, they'd sort of be forced to take all that inspiration and fit it into a search box, right? Maybe it's a box on Marriott.com. Maybe it's a box on Expedia.com. But more likely than not, it was a box on Google, which was the 500-pound gorilla, really owns the top of the search and marketing funnel in travel. But I mean, think about it. All of these different ways to get inspired, all these different ways to happen, I mean, it's not quite as simple. The work was on the user to take all of these ideas, all of these thoughts, why they wanted to go to a destination, why they were inspired, who they were traveling with, how much they wanted to spend, past trips they'd taken, what they loved about their last trip, what they hated about their last trip. They had to take all of that and condense it into a couple of keywords and put those keywords into Google. Now, of course, the promise of AI is a more conversational search. That's what you can do on ChatGPT, is you can actually have a real conversation, say, here's the things I like, here's the things I don't like, here's what I really want to do. And that got me thinking, well, isn't that basically the same conversation I just had with my travel agent? Right? So in some ways, conversational search, conversational AI, it's like a brave new world of search and discovery. And in other ways, it's a little more back to the future. It feels a little bit like what we used to do. So maybe the era of keyword search was kind of an anomaly in the long arc of history of travel. Now, of course, Google is the kind of, like I said, 500-pound gorilla in the world of travel search. They pretty much, their business model is basically selling ads against keywords. So any shift to what happens with keywords and search terms is really going to impact Google. Well, we were doing some research looking at what we call AI visibility, specifically AI visibility for travel. And we got this really unique data set, 500,000 keywords, and we looked at all of them and we said, how often do AI overviews show up? You guys know what those AI overviews are, right? When you do a Google search, sometimes you get a link, sometimes you get like a carousel, or sometimes Google kind of does the Google search for you and runs it through an LLM and gives you an answer. And what we found is that AI visibility has pretty much quadrupled. By the way, we did this with Dune 7 and SEO Clarity. I see some of the Dune 7 guys here. Thank you, Jared. They gave us this data set. We did the research, but appreciate the partnership on that. And so, now on Google, Google's entire business model is selling keywords, and now almost 1 out of 10 flight searches is showing a contextual, semi-conversational AI result. Google's going to launch AI mode, so we're really seeing these major search engines move all in on conversational. Or maybe not all in, but quickly move in that direction. There's a first mover advantage, but sometimes fast followers can win too. So I think that that is pretty clearly a direction that we are moving on into for the travel industry. And it raises a lot of questions. If, or maybe the question's not if, when AI transforms discovery, search, and yes, Rafat said it, booking, even though it's a couple of years away, what will it mean? Can Google continue to grow advertising? Does metasearch make a comeback? I'm talking with Kayak, actually, on stage later today. Will metasearch make a comeback? Will AI searches send people to OTAs or global distribution systems or direct to brands? How do brands actually rank and show up in these algorithms? Will there be better algorithms than others? There's so many of these are open questions. In other words, you might call it disruption. That might be a word for it. Tech disruption is scary, but tech disruption is nothing new to the travel industry. And again, we come back to our friends, the travel agents. If you remember 1999, the Y2K bug, there were almost 270,000 people in the US employed as travel agents. Obviously, the rise of online travel fundamentally disrupted that business. They lost over 100,000 US travel agency jobs. So we're all excited about AI. I think it is worth remembering that there was real job loss, like fundamental disruption here. So there was a real change. At the same time, I also think it's worth remembering that the pie did get bigger. So the travel agency sector fundamentally lost jobs, but travel as an industry, as an overall industry, actually grew jobs, actually added jobs over the last 20 years. The web was one of these horizontal technologies that transformed everything. And if you think about it, it really democratized and made travel more accessible. There was a time before where it was like, boy, it's really hard to figure out where you're going to go. You want to go to Japan? What's the hotel going to look like? What are they going to serve you? Where are you going to get food? What are you going to do? How are you going to get around? The web made that so much easier, and it sort of enabled a generation of travelers to be really to explore the world. So the web was this technology that disrupted. It caused serious job loss that needs to be thought about, but it also overall grew the pie for the industry as a whole. I also think if you look beneath the hood, something really interesting happened in that travel agency sector. So this is the data of actual roles, tech roles, people who work as computer programmers, web developers, software engineers inside the travel agency sector. It grew from less than 2% of jobs to almost 7% of jobs. So distribution for travel used to be very analog, and the web made it digital. Now compare travel agencies to travel suppliers like airlines or hotels. Now these are fundamentally asset-heavy businesses, right? You can't have an airline without a plane. You can't have a hotel room without bricks. I get it. So it's never going to be fully asset-light. But I wonder if the AI disruption is sort of just like how the web made distribution digital. I wonder if AI will make suppliers a little more digital as well. All of which is to say, there's a lot of disruption coming. AI is coming. AI is kind of coming for everything. But there's a big difference between it's coming for everything, like the Terminator. It's not, which I guess that was an AI, right? And there's a difference between it's coming for everything in the sense of an Excel spreadsheet. This is a tool designed for accountants. There's a guy out there making AI art, cell by cell, color by color. I'm planning my wedding in Excel. Like, we're doing everything in Excel. It's just a part of the world. It was disruptive. It changed the way we work, but it was not quite as scary as Arnold or actually. So I don't know if the good, depends on which Terminator you're watching, if he's the good guy or not. So I like this quote that I found. Amy Webb is a futurist, which is an awesome title. I'm not quite sure how you get that title, but it's pretty cool. And she says, the future doesn't simply arrive fully formed overnight. It emerges step by step. And so as we think about what the AI future in travel is going to look like, I don't quite know what it's going to look like when we get there, but I do know that the steps are there. there's a step of consumer adoption. Right now, AI tools like ChatGPT and Gemini, it's about 14% of the US population is using it on a daily basis. That lines up with the adoption curve for Facebook in 2009. So think about how many people were using Facebook in 2009 versus Facebook today. I do know another step, startups. This is the Y Combinator classes. Y Combinator is what launched Airbnb. They're the most prestigious startup incubator. Right now, the majority of the Y Combinator startups are AI startups. So what will come out of this class of Y Combinator in the next 5, 10, 15 years? And I do know that even in the travel industry, the signs are there. This was a survey we did of travelers that said, how likely are you to use AI trip planning tools? You know, almost a third of Americans and Europeans said that they were very likely or somewhat likely. In China, it's almost 80%. So the steps are all there. We have some ways to look back to the past, the world of travel agents, and some analogs that we can draw. But ultimately, that's what makes this an exciting space, is that we don't have all the answers. That's why this is such an exciting summit. That's why I think this is a sold-out summit, because we all want to learn from each other, meet with the people who are really deep in the weeds of building AI tools, not just broadly, not for the world, but for the travel industry specifically. There's a lot of interesting things that I'll be listening to. I'm really excited to learn along with you all and see what the AI-driven future of travel holds. If you want to read more of our research about AI, Google, and the shift from keywords to context, I only showed you one snippet from the chart. Go ahead and scan the QR code. If you're a Skift Research subscriber, it's free. And if you're not a Skift Research subscriber, I mean, you heard Rafit. Think about it. So that's all for me. I look forward to spending more time with you all throughout the day. And enjoy the rest of the summit.